young man came to school. After 2 weeks, he went back home. He was so convinced that he could not do this that he just back home. He became anxious. Anxiety, brother. Brethren, can cause you to give up. Another student had an exam the following day, and they said, well, you can't put all this work together and just went to bed. And next day the exam came and he just failed the exam. He became so anxious about the exam that he just gave up. Well, as a Christian, bear in mind, Philippians chapter 4, verse 1. I can You know chapter 6 in Philippians. Philippians 4, verse 6 to 7. All right, what it says? Be anxious about nothing. Right. Prayer and supplication. As grace in your grace. Oh, that is a wonderful, applicable passage.
Hi, Cal. Morning.
And if you combine that with Philippians 4, verse 113 or 6 to 7. Philippians, combine Philippians. What's the second passage? And this is the same. And this is the same. What's the second passage? Yeah, Philippians 4, 13 and 4. No, man, both of them apply. Both of them apply. In other words, what we're saying is that don't be anxious, but depend on God. You're anxious for nothing. Then I can do it. But I want to be based on my own strength. I can do it.
Strength
Based on strength I get from Jesus Christ. So yeah, we're going to ask this, but they're about to run a race with life. And maybe, I don't know the extent of their faith, but that's just signal that they are saying, oh, God, give me strength to run this race. That's why whenever we go in the country, we stop and say a prayer. Because, boy, the driver safe as you want. Listen, some guys out there that can just take you out. All right. So, worry. Yeah, so when it comes to the fact that undermine or limit ourselves because we are Christ who lives in us, there's another passage that we can apply to this, which is Galatians 2:20. What is it? Galatians 2:20. No, come on, go ahead. I believe it says, we have been crucified with Christ, therefore if I live, it's not me who lives, but Christ. That's another passage, that's all right too. Since if Christ lives in us, Christ has all the power, the strength, so therefore, not depend on others. All right, fine. Then no, in our presentation, they're talking about certain things that students can do to deal with anxiety. Practically, of course, by giving you that passage, we have counseling. Counseling is important. Right? Time management. Proper scheduling of your time, or we call it time
management.
All right, proper counseling,
Proper scheduling of your time or time management. This is okay for us. Order one, deal with anxiety. One, counseling. And when say counseling, give your counseling here. You can be started. Two, proper scheduling of your time or time management. And some people may need doctor prescribed medication.
What is the purpose?
Eh?
What is the purpose?
Of what?
What was the purpose? It speaks to us faith. What is the purpose of your multiple faiths that tell you see it inside out, which is that overflow of all of this. What was the first one? What you're counseling?
Doctor prescribed medication. Sometimes it may be so chronic that you may need medication to calm down. Prayer and counseling. Adequate sleep. Exercise. I'm going to go over these. So the point is, how does one deal with anxiety? Seek counseling. The teaching is going to you don't give up. Proper scheduling of your time, or they call it time management. Doctor prescribed medication, prayer, and worship. Reading of your scripture, and in-person worship. When I say prayer and worship, I'm talking about personal worship. Adequate sleep. What is the adequate sleep? Say 8 to 10 hours sleep. Or some people may say 7 to 9 hours sleep. In that area. It varies from person to person. But roughly 8 to 10 hours sleep. Like what says 7 to 10 hours sleep. This says 7 to 10. That's a good reliable. You don't get adequate sleep, you're not going to get this thing clearly. And I'm going to tell you, of course, my illustration. I'm studying at university, and I never had a physics exam Friday. And that Thursday, Thursday was after, Thursday afternoon was exercise after, so I played football for 3 hours. And then I had to prepare for the exam. I had a lot of work to do. And I stayed up until about 3 o'clock going over the material. What happened to me? Why did it happen? What, he wouldn't what? Yeah, I mean, first of all, my brain was very fuzzy. Fuzzy, meaning that my memory was poor. Ooh, I could barely stay awake in the exam. Hey? Yes. And I barely passed the exam. I passed it, but I just got my nose over 50%. And it was all because of inadequate sleep. If you have an exam, get 8 hours sleep. Don't stay up until 5 o'clock so you prepare for the exam. It's counterproductive. You need exercise, you know, but you have to be wise because you need to be rested when you do the exam. So bear this in mind. Anxiety is a disorder of fear. And fear comes from a feeling of uncertainty, lack of predictability about how things are going to work out. So anxiety is a disorder of fear, meaning it comes out of fear. And fear is a product of a lack of predictability. So when you say you're fearful about the future, because you say you know how things are going to work out.
Like you see evidence. Like you see evidence of like things going bad, and you just become fearful. Understandable, yeah, say things could have been.
Right. It's like when you're going to do a speech, a sermon. Many persons get nervous when they're going to get up to speak. And initially, when you know at the stage of your speech career, it's not going to feel nervous.
All right? That's the true feeling that the feel when they go to sleep. They're going to fear, they're going to feel positive, which one do they take over? Understanding because they can tell yourself, I'm going to do that. I can pray to, give it that kind.
Right, so you always say a prayer when you're going to get up to speak. Always. Whenever you sing, say a prayer. Everything you say a prayer.
I'm like, oh, if you're not prepared.
Hey?
Your wish is prepared.
If you're not prepared.
No, you can prepare spiritually. Spread it. What I realize is that what I do, when you're going to give a speech, you won't feel nervous, right? That's common, right? So no matter how well prepared you are, you won't feel nervous. But I wish you would
always right. Nervousness is merely your initial career. You may feel nervous, right? Other than that, as the less speeches you give, the more nervous you're going to be. But over a period of time, that nervousness is going to disappear.
I think you're going to speak somewhere the first time.
No, I'm saying over a period of time, that nervousness is going to disappear. Why? Because of the amount of time you have given to speeches. Understand? I'm talking, of course, I've been around for a long time. Okay? I remember a speech to 400 Americans on Islam and Muslim. Men, 400 men. What I did, What's happening here?
Exactly.
Brother Walker, Brother William, was to actually gave the speech in Jamaica to various organizations. Before I went to America to give the speech.
Okay.
What's that?
We would have mastered this survey.
Yeah, I mean, preparation is the key to reduce
Yes. This
speech nervousness.
I just said.
Right?
I just said, preparation is the best.
I mean, the more you are,
Yeah.
the less nervous you will be.
Comfortable is the same.
Right. And even let's say when you do a speech at Woodstock, brother Williams, you send a speech at home to somebody in your household.
All right.
For example, yes.
Yeah, or you can just do it on to a cell phone and record it and listen to it.
Yeah. So what I'm going to say is about the same Bible class I taught yesterday. This is the Bible class I'm going to teach this Sunday coming for advancement because I just make a preparation. You know, the same thing, but it's not
That's how we do
I
it.
can use it for all that because it put things up with myself.
You see, brother Cersei who came here, brother Cersei,
Yes.
and brother Williams, you met him, right?
Yes, I made it. Yeah.
All right. Now, brother Cersei, he spoke here in chapel. Okay, remember?
Yeah.
Okay, in chapel. Then we went to the, and he gave the same speech.
He gave it for Ajay to point out that. Even Montego Bay.
Eh?
I remember he went to Montego Bay with us on Sunday. He gave the same speech.
He gave the same speech in Montego Bay.
Ajay last he gave it to Ajay.
But he said that's what I'm going to do. In other words, so the more he gave the speech, the better he became.
Yeah, it's staying in your way.
Right? I took him to the other congregation in Montego Bay. He gave the same speech.
Yeah.
And then the JSP class at Mount Bay, he gave the same presentation. Nothing wrong with that.
It's not the same audience. No, different audience, but the message
Yeah,
is
different
not-
audience. But the more, yes, sir.
It's not a whole, giving the same speech, message that comes from the same speech. Because the message from everyone to get across a message.
Right. And one of the key things he gave is that, look,
I'm back for about this.
I went to prison. I went to prison. And that's where I was converted. And look where I am today. This is the 82nd country I've preached in. And not only that, the brethren in India, he spoke to my India class. And the brethren said, oh, we want you to speak at our seminar in the month.
We love the speech.
Of course, I love the speech.
They're not basically, like a story of people, positive in the church.
All right. True. Absolutely. All right. What we're going to do now is, when they ask Brother Ronald to come first and go over the material that we have done from the start of the term. Yeah. And brother, and then I'm going to ask Brother Walker.
First class,
First class, second class, second. Just read through the material. Because some of those classes, Brother William wasn't there, and Brother William, if you want to get any of these notes, you can ask Brother Ronald, and he said it.
Yeah.
Brother
Could you repeat that?
Okay. And the material you don't have, just ask Brother Ronald, and he said it to you.
Okay.
Yes, I will. It seems like I cannot open
Walker?
There is one that I cannot open. I
All
don't
right, let's have a
understand.
moment. Walker, come.
But okay, come and help me. Because I noticed that I cannot open it, you see?
I want the first speech. What is the first speech?
The first one was on May
You
26th.
can't open.
It cannot open.
It's okay. Then Brother Walker. Brother Walker, come and do the first speech. You found it? You got to write it on your notes, you know. It's from your notes, you know.
Yeah, it's all right. Well, I was going to read the report itself. I was going to read the report itself.
No one needs to know.
I don't have the notes.
You know, okay. You have lesson 2?
Yes, I have to.
Because lesson 2.
I would like, I will.
Go ahead, brother. Let's talk about this. Let's see if I can open it.
I still cannot open it. What document that's
Now, you have lesson 2, sir? You have lesson 1?
One second.
They're coming out.
That's the
First.
May 19, 2025. May 19, 2025, prostate among men. We talked about, yes, talked about the problem of prostate, mentioned that Jamaica has the highest rate of prostate cancer in men around in the world. We talked about what it is. We made mention of how reluctant or scared.
Mention what prostate cancer is, right?
Yes. Mention what prostate cancer is. We talked
What
about.
explain what prostate cancer is?
prostate cancer
Well, the big thing about prostate cancer is related to the enlargement of the cancer, of the prostate. And with that enlargement can come the growth of cancer cells in the prostate, which, if allowed to continue, will spread to other organs of the body. So recently, the past president of the United States, Joe Biden, was diagnosed with prostate cancer, which has spread to other organs. So your prostate can be ended, and you do not have cancer. But it is possible for your prostate to be enlarged and you develop cancer, which infects the prostate and then infects other organs and can kill you. And Jamaica has the highest rate of prostate cancer among men in the world. So the question that we want you to be able to answer is, what is prostate cancer? What is prostate cancer? What is prostate cancer? What is the answer? What is prostate cancer? All right, continue.
I'll do this expression, but how do you answer this question?
You go look at the doctor about it.
What's the prostate cancer?
Alright, so
Until you read it.
alright, so you mentioned the scenario with Joe Biden. We talk about
Talk in the back. Talk, clearly. Just leave it.
when would I read the whole notes?
What is it?
Alright, fine. Jamaica has the highest rate of prostate cancer among men in the world. It is normal for the prostate of males to become enlarged over time, and men have to run tests twice a year to see how enlarged it is. Men go to the doctor far less frequently than women. One of tests done by doctors to check the prostate is to insert a finger in the anus. Pause. Men have been scared or reluctant to get this test done. Yes, reference was mentioned of Brother Bai's father-in-law who had recently passed because of it. And then the scenario with Joe Biden being diagnosed with prostate cancer, having spread to other organs in his body. Paying attention to our prostate is important in terms of catching it early to get proper treatment. One recommendation was made, I guess, during the discussion, was taking zinc and hemp. Blood work can also be done to check for prostate cancer. However, the finger insertion is the most reliable of the two, or the PSA test. The finger insertion or the PSA. So they're both the same.
Okay, good. Thank you. Next lesson.
Okay.
Another lesson.
June 2nd. About living a balanced life. All right. Initially, as we kicked off the class, we talked about living a balanced life. We looked at Luke chapter 2, verse 52, which says, "And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and men." This verse highlights Jesus' development and knowledge, physical growth, and is increasing in favor with both God and people. It serves as a powerful reminder of balanced growth, intellectual, physical, spiritual, and social. After reading the verse, we moved on by explaining each part of it separately. First of all, it was said that wisdom includes the idea of your education, not just religious education, but ocular education. One's training to earn a living to provide for himself and his family's needs.
All right, so basically, this class was dealing with Luke 252 for the water. Jesus Christ increased in wisdom and stature in favor with God and man. This passage shows you must try to live a balanced life in which you pursue your education, both spiritual and secular, in which that stature, in wisdom, Jesus Christ increasing stature, you take care of your body, you don't abuse it with drugs and foolish living. Thirdly, in favor with God, you take care of your spiritual life, make sure you pray every day, you read this Bible every day, and you worship and you stay close to God and Christians. And four, and in favor with man, you learn how to get along with people. So that passage was a passage we used to to explain what a balanced life is. A balanced life is you take care of your education, you take care of your body, you take care of your spiritual life, you take care of your how you get along with people.
All right. Could you repeat the passage, please?
252. Luke 2:52.
Luke 2, verse 52.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Next lesson, next class. What's the next class? And what do you want to give you the next class? What do you want to give you the next class?
We're talking about organizing the church in the absence of elders.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. So on Monday, June 2nd, we begin our Things We Need to Know class by looking at this topic, organizing the church and the absence of elders. First of all, the lecturer of the class started by saying that most congregations have a membership in which the majority are women. However, we need to understand that the Church of Christ is not a democracy in which the majority rules, but it is a well-organized institution in which Jesus is the head. Additionally, as part of the leadership of the church, the minister has the responsibility to set things in order according to the teaching of the Lord. Now, in order for this to happen, the preacher must be very wise in terms of his attitude. He must not operate as a dictator, but as one who collaborates with others. So he must be a good listener where he listens to the views of other members of the church. He must be loving, having strong character and effective leadership skills, the lecturer said. On top of that, the preacher must prepare the congregation to eventually have elders and deacons through his leadership skills. Now, to have elders, there must be a number of married men with children in the congregation, because part of the requirement of an elder in the church is that you must be married and have faithful children. 1 Timothy chapter 3. Hence, the preacher must encourage the young people to get married and remain faithful, because that is how you will have a congregation with a strong family base.
All right, let's stop here. So, how do you organize the church in the absence of elders? All right, let's give them a synopsis, summary.
Okay, to organize.
Number one.
1 minute, listen. All right. Yes, to organize the church in absence of elders. First of all, like the minister has to set things in order according to the teachings of the Lord.
Set things in order. So he puts things in place so that eventually can have elders. Number one. Number two.
Okay, so he must not be a dictator.
Right.
He must collaborate with others.
The preacher should not be a dictator, but he should involve others in decision. They get the ideas. Listen to what people are saying. You don't want to do something that's wrong, but you want to listen to people's suggestions and then make the best scriptural decision. All right, number three.
You must have strong character and effective.
Somewhat.
Strong character.
But there's someone of character, yes.
And have effective leadership skills.
Effective leadership skills, yes.
All right. Okay, then we must encourage young people to get married and remain faithful.
And so in order to have elders, you must have married couples in the church. You can't have elders without married couples. So one of the things you do is to organize, encourage people to get married in the church. Yes.
All right. So moreover, we looked at the fact that in the absence of elders, the men of the congregation must meet and have business meeting and men training class. So the preacher must work with the men in the process of decision making and organize them around the ministry system by delegating responsibility to each of them for the operation of the church, right? So he can appoint some to oversee education, some to oversee finance, and some to oversee health department, and the list goes on. In other words, the preacher must train and equip the men so that they can be ready to serve the church in various aspects. Now, as we wrapped up this section, the lecturer said that if one is in a congregation where there is a shortage of members, what the preacher can do is that he can concentrate on converting men and let the women concentrate on converting women.
Right, so if you have a shortage of men, then one of the good things to do is men concentrate on converting men, and women concentrate on converting women, because it's easier for a man to convert a man than for a woman to convert a man.
Yeah. Now, in conclusion, we looked at the importance of women in the church, and it was said that the women play an important role in the kingdom of God. The most powerful role of women in the church is to be influencers and encouragers. So they can stand and encourage their husband to do the Lord's work. The lecturer gave an illustration of Sister Francis, who was converted to the church because her employer was Christian. When she accepted Christ, her husband was not a Christian. The lecturer said every Sunday she walked 2.5 miles from Kentire to come to church at Lona. And by doing so, her husband was so amazed by what she did. He became interested in coming to church.
Right. So women, in terms of organizing church, women must not be encouraged to take over. Women must be encouraged to be encouragers of the men to do the right thing and to support the men when they are leading the church to do the right thing. So even though women may have better education than men, their role is not to take over, because the Bible says that the head of every woman is man. Men are not only meant to be the leaders in God, but the women now can influence the men to do good or bad. He said that Eve influenced Adam to do wrong. Delilah influenced Samson to do wrong. But Mary, by how she lived, Joseph did the right thing. In other words, women play a major role in influencing their husbands and influencing the men in the church on the right path. Very, very important role. Remember the story of the church, of the start of the church in Philippi? Lydia was the first convert in the church in Philippi.
Right.
Later on, in Philippians chapter 1, you read of the church having elders and deacons. Lydia is not mentioned. You read of the church supporting Paul wherever he went, the church in Philippi. But this Lydia was the first person who said, "Come into my house and stay." So she set the example. She influenced the church to get involved in the support of Paul. So that is the key role of women. Not to lead, but to influence. And the devil can use Jezebel to be a bad influence, or God can use Sarah to be a good influence. Although she made a mistake.
So yeah, I was going to say that another example of women influencing and encouraging men we have in the Bible is in Judges chapter 4, where Deborah encouraged a man by the name of Barak to gather, 20,000 men on Mount
To go and fight.
on Tabor.
And Deborah was a judge, but she never went to fight. But she influenced the men to go and fight.
Now, I didn't want to go because he was afraid. So he said, Deborah, if you go with me, I will. If you don't go with me, I will not.
So she didn't fight.
He ended up going because Deborah.
All right. So the exam, let's go it over here. The final exam is going to deal with the following topics. 1, prostate cancer. 2, anxiety in students. 3, when you look at how one deals with anxiety through counseling and shedding of time and all that. When you deal with living a balanced life. When you deal with organizing the church in the absence of elders. Let me go it over again. Things exam going to be prostate cancer, anxiety in students. Like, what is anxiety? The passages that help you to deal with anxiety. When you deal with what it means to live a balanced life. One thing that we mentioned, which I'm going to mention here, is we show that marijuana and alcohol, we ask the question, does marijuana and alcohol help anxiety? Yes or no? No.
No.
No, it doesn't. And what we're saying is that marijuana and alcohol merely makes anxiety worse.
Worse, right?
It doesn't help one bit. It may, for the short time, you take it all, you feel great, and when you finish, you feel natural. And then finally, organizing the church in the absence of elders. What are the things involved? We want to encourage marriage, men's training class, being of good character. Any questions? We said that one of the things you want to encourage in organizing church, people to get married, stay married, have children, because you need married men with children in order to choose elders from a congregation. So you want to encourage them to get married, stay married, and have children with their wives. Anybody has any material for me to mark, you can bring it now. Yeah, class over, yes. The material for me to mark, come in. That's a move. Yes. That's 6. What's the date of that?
May 19th.
Okay. Next. Where is this here?
June 2nd.
Eh?
June 2nd.
June 2nd.
So I have 3 more reports.
June 6. What's this? Eh? June what?
June 2nd.
June 2nd. May 7th. What's the date of this?
9th.
Where is it? June 9th. I have a lot of stuff for me. What class? Come, let's give the highlight material. June 1?
23rd.
June 23rd.
Last week.
29. No, I just have 4 grades for you, so you have some more for me?
No, we have 4 classes.
All right, okay.
How much do you have?
What date of this class?
May 19th.
7, yeah, next. Another class?
It's not June, May.
Oh, May, okay.
May 26th.
May 26. '97 next. 2nd of June. '96, yes. Good. 4 classes. I have 2, 3, 4, 2. So I need 2 more. Let us show me the other 2. I have for the 19th and the 5th and 2nd of June. I need one more grade for you. I have May, 2nd of June, I need one for the last class we had in June. Oh, the last class we have in June, I need for that. Okay? What the date of this? What's the date?
Eh, boy.
That's May of that's
May of what?
first class.
Okay, 97, good. We have one more from me. All right. Show me just before shot, the class.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, let us just look, brother, the last book we looked at in Old Testament, what was it?
Ezra.
As
What's that? What was the last book?
it was Ezra.
Esther? We looked at Esther and Job.
Oh.
All right, so one of the questions we want to know is, where was Esther when she became queen? In what country was she? Yeah, where was she when she became queen? Was she in Israel? Where was she when she became queen? Esther. Where was Esther when she became queen? Eh?
Esther.
Where was she? Was she in Israel? Where was she? All right. That's one question. You have to look that up. Who was Esther's uncle? Who was Esther's uncle? What do you remember her name?
His name.
What's that?
Mordecai.
Okay. Just some of the questions we're going to ask. Which country was she in? Now you must know Who was the king who married Esther? Which Persian king married Esther? And why? Which Persian king married Esther and why?
The king of Persia, Mordecai and Bobo.
You need to find out who that king was.
King Ahasuerus. Something I didn't.
All right, well, you can look that up. What role did Ezra and Nehemiah play in the life of Judah? What role did they play in the life of Judah? Yeah, the people of Judah who came back from Babylon. What role did Ezra and Nehemiah play in the life of the people of Judah or the Israelites?
Restoration.
Plug in this computer here. Well, you have to look that up. Now, you do remember the name of the king who allowed the Jews to return from Babylon? The name of the king who allowed the Jews to return from Babylon. And which nation was he from? The name of the king who allowed the Jews to return from Babylon, and which nation was he? How long were the Jews in Babylon? How long were the Jews in Babylon?
It was something.
Were they there for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years? How long were these are things you have to look up, I'm telling you the things that you must look for on your exam. So you just write down the question. How long were the Jews in Babylon?
It was 70 years?
How long?
70 years. 70 years.
Huh? That sounds interesting.
70 years?
There for 70 years, yeah. Who was the king of Babylon when the Jews were taken into captivity?
Azarexos?
Artaxerxes?
was the king of Babylon. And the Jews were.
Artaxerxes?
What's that?
Was it Artaxerxes?
Artaxerxes?
Yeah.
You have to go look this up. Nebuchadnezzar.
Okay.
What does the first 6 chapters of Ezra deal with? What does the first 6 chapters of Ezra deal with?
Restoration.
What do you mean by that? Yeah, restoration is correct, but restoration of what?
Restoration of you know.
The primary return of the first group of exiles from Babylon.
The family, restoring the family.
Yeah, you remember the first 6 chapters. What does the first 6 chapters of Ezra deal with?
Spiritual restoration, restoration of the temple.
That's one of the things, yeah.
Mhm.
When you say restoration, what do you mean?
Uh,
Yeah, in the first 6 chapters, it shows you how the Jews left Babylon and how the temple got built.
mhm.
Shows you how the temple got built. Which 2 prophets encouraged the Jews to commence the rebuilding of the temple? Which 2 prophets? Encouraged the Jews to resume the rebuilding of the temple. Which 2 prophets encouraged the Jews to resume the rebuilding of the temple? One of them was Haggai. Who's the other one? Eh? Good. All right.
Charlie? This.
You have to look that
We have to
up.
talk like
In what year was the temple completed?
And it's for purpose of exam. Appear we can do. So we know where you want to. I'm not worried because that's something we are revised.
Okay. All right, now, what is the Septuagint? The Septuagint. You might know what the Septuagint is? Should know. What is the Septuagint? Septuagint. You look that up.
Ancient Greek translation.
All right? And it was done about 250 AD, 250 BC. The ancient translation of the Old Testament, the 39 books of the Old Testament, that was done in Alexandria, Egypt, approximately 250 BC. The Septuagint, is a translation of the Hebrew Old Testament into Greek.
Right.
In Alexandria, Egypt, in about 250 BC. When we asked the question, who was Esther's uncle, right?
Yeah.
But what I want you to do, I'm just helping with some of the questions. You must read through the PowerPoint of all the things we did this semester. Okay?
All right.
Which PowerPoints, which books did we do this semester? Double check.
That's right.
Was that second one? Uh-huh. Right, so first and second Chronicles, Nehemiah, Esther, so it went from first and second Chronicles right down to Jude, right? Okay, good. You got brother? First and second Chronicles right down to Jude.
Right.
So make sure you read those 4 points. What I've done today is give you some of the questions that will come on the paper, but you must read through the PowerPoint.
Okay.
So tomorrow we're going to have another class of some type of loose ends. I know, brother and sister. Some people listen today, so there's some review next time. So we're going to stop here, yeah? Brother. Okay, brother Williams is here. We have another class, so we have Acts tomorrow, right? We just prepare.
Yes, all right.
Preparing for the exams next week, all right?
Okay.
All right, so we have another class to talk about the exams. So.
Yeah. Can I call you?
Yes,
Are you gonna busy right?
I call you in 10 minutes. No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Let's see. No, you call me at 9:40.
9:40.
Right.
Okay.
All right then. Good.
Okay. Brother Kidu?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to talk to you also.
You're the way I didn't know that.
Come on, we're on from morning.
Eh?
Come on, we were both on from morning.
Okay, fine. So you saw the list of questions, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm sorry, I didn't.
That's fine, man. That's all right. So, but yeah.
You want
I want the assistance with prospect.
Okay, good. All right. I'll call you back.
Okay.
I'll call you back shortly. All right.
All right. Cool.
All right. God bless you.
See you. Brother Will. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it right now. I'm gonna call it straight.
No problem.
All right.
All right. It's up for me. Sister, you like mangoes? Do you eat mangoes?
Yes.
Good. I have a bag of mangoes in the car. You just give some to each student, including her, all right?